Hey, welcome back. We have a knife here. Let's get into it. I don't know which knife this is. I think I do actually, but let's confirm before I guess at it. Oh, yes, this got here sooner than expected. Very cool. It's the Microtech MSI. Let's get into it. Sweet. This is new. It's a new folding knife from Microtech, I believe made in the USA. I don't know if it says that on here, but pretty sure this is made in the USA. Wow, it's bigger than I expected. Holy moly. That thing's like the size of a Demko 8020S. I was not expecting that. I thought it looked smaller in the pictures, honestly. That's pretty sweet. Let's get a little rag over here to get some of this. Looks like it's oiled up a little bit on there. Man, that's a monster. M390. Whew, that thing's got some serious weight to it. Man, you gotta give it quite the business to get it out too. Holy moly, okay. So I got this thinking it'd be really fun to put it right up next to the Demko 8022. I thought, oh my gosh, they totally copied the style. That's got to be the size of this thing. But no, this is a much bigger knife than the Demko 8022. So I'm going to have to pick a different knife to compare it to. Let me go ahead and pull out a Demko 8020S, because that is much closer in size to what we're talking about here. And even that is not as big as this this MSI. This thing is big. So I'll swap those just because, again, proportion gets a little wonky on video. You can see now this thing looks a little bigger on the handle. The handle's slightly longer on the MSI, but the blade's definitely like a full 1/4 inch longer or something like that. So interesting. I did not expect that. I was thinking this was kind of going to be the next, like a really good competition for the 8022 or the 8020.5 Demko, but it is definitely not. It is far, far bigger. Interesting. Let's get into it. I'm kind of curious. This it's basically a spring-based version of the axis lock. I think you've probably seen this on some knives, and it is one finger, which is great. I do love that, those axis locks, and it could be either finger, which is cool. So if you needed to use your pointer finger, you could use your pointer finger. If you need to use your thumb, you can use your thumb. So I do like that. That is pretty sweet. What it reminds me of most is of the like from a button perspective, is of the Manix. I think the Manix also has a regular spring-based axis style bar lock. I don't know if it is exactly, let me take a look and see if I can tell in here. If you would call it the same as a bar lock. It generally operates like it, but it's not a bar. It's more of like a flat surface instead of like a round surface is what it looks like to me. But it generally operates the same, where it sits in there, either like a bar lock or like the Demko shark lock, which kind of does a similar thing. It almost seems a little more like the shark lock in the way it sits in there. I guess it's very similar to a bar lock too. But yeah, this thing is a beast. That's the really surprising part, is just how big it is. Interesting. Monster knife. Centering, really nice there. I think what the thing that's most compelling on this, though, is the price is much lower than the Demko. You're talking $425 or $450, depending where you get that. And this thing's $250. That's a significantly lower price for a similar knife in a lot of ways. It's definitely a real competition for this guy. It's not quite the same fidgetiness and predictability, I'd say. And man, it is this kind of like almost awkwardly long blade, but feeling hands good. It's got a nice little forward choil on it. Let's get a little more oil off the blade here. Check the edge. Edge is fantastic. Nice little flat grind on it. And it's M390 blade steel, which is very appealing, obviously. No play side to side. No played front to back. Starting to open up pretty nicely too. Yeah, this thing's a little sweetie. I like it. It's definitely harder to deploy than the smaller knives. I'd say it's getting a little bit of lock stick too, by the way. You can feel how hard that was to get out. That's kind of similar. These guys get a little bit of that too a lot of the time. So I don't know if that's just this one or if it's going to be a kind of common thing amongst these, but a lot of the Demko's got a little bit of lock stick. That's, you know, kind of makes sense if you think about what's going on. This is shoving in behind there, and that's a lot of pressure. But I've had it stick 3 times now. It might just be that it needs a little lubrication in there. Feels like it's a little rough. So maybe just a drop of lubrication in there would be a good idea. Let me give that a try and see what happens. Because unlike the Shark Lock, you don't really have the issue of the yeah, still got it a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be something that works its way out. That's happened sometimes with the Demkos as well. The Demko, I don't think it's right there though. I think it's back here where the Shark Lock, you know, basically when this actuates, I think it gets stuck in the back here, if I understand it correctly. One of the interesting things is trying to figure out where on here, like I think if you're too low here, you don't get quite as much momentum. I think you really want to have your finger way up in that slot to have a successful deployment. The thumb's not bad though. It feels like it's gonna miss a lot, so I'm kind of giving it a little bit of wrist, but it's not bad. That's a sweet knife for the money. 250 bucks, man. Made in USA, if that's all correct. Again, I haven't done my research super well on these. But I'm pretty confident that was what I was reading on this. Maybe we can even see in the documentation here whether it's made in the USA or not, but I believe that's the case on these guys. So yeah, for someone looking for like a full-size knife, and that is why I really got to emphasize, this thing is seriously a big knife. Like, let's do a quick little measurement. This could definitely be a great option for you if that's what you're going for. But you're talking about a almost 4-inch. You got like a 3.875 on the blade length. About 3 3/8 maybe on the cutting edge there, because there's a pretty sizable choil there. And you're talking almost 9 inches, 8 7/8 on the whole length. It's a big one, right? Versus a shark foot Demko is under 8.5. This is a big boy. Let's get a quick weigh-in on it. Curious how it stacks up on the weight too. It does not feel light. This thing is seriously got some size to it. Yeah, this is what, you know, the whole reason I went and got this, tried to get it early to get it on the channel, was because I think I'm one of the few people that can put it up next to a Demko 8022, because I thought it just looks so similar to this. I was like, oh man, that's a real style biter. I mean, just so many elements of the way that the handle is done here, the fact that it's kind of a similar backlock style, the fuller, I mean, just that's kind of crazy, right? Just how similar this looks. It's just a really big version of a similar knife. I'd say it's like closer stylistically to that than it is to the to the 8020S, but size-wise, it's certainly more like the 8020S. So let's get this thing on the scale and see what kind of poundage we're dealing with here. 5.1, so it's right up there with this Demko, 5.3 there. So, but a little lighter. So credit to them on that. It looks like there's a lot more going on, you know, a lot more hardware and stuff, but it is pretty darn similar, all things considered. Nice little backspacer on it. All the edges are nicely knocked down, by the way. The color's not bad on this tan. I'd probably go with the black one, just with a Microtech knife. For some reason, black just feels right to me in general. I like the jimping on the back of the blade. I kind of wish there was something that went a little further up. It feels a little short given how long that is. I'm still like way back of the blade here. But the top of the blade's also knocked down. There's no point here that feels uncomfortable. Pocket clip seems fine too. Feels like it would slide right on over there. So I like the flexibility out of box on that. It's a nice knife. I'm glad to have gotten my hands on it. It's definitely not going to be for all of you. You got to want a big knife to want this, but it does what that you know, EDC style Demko does really well. Now, one thing I will note is the belly of this does curve slightly more, I think, than the Demko. It's pretty similar, I guess. Maybe just because it's over a longer distance, it's more noticeable to me. But they're pretty similar. They're both a little curved on the belly, so no real remark there in that case. Yeah, that's nice. Very good. Nice job, Microtech. Appreciate that, and thanks to the seller for making this available to me very early on. These are not easy to get a hold of right now, so glad to have gotten it on the channel so soon. That's it for now. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.